Good morning, book friends, and welcome back to Books and Gratitude. Today I'm talking about Underland Toxic City by Eugene Samalin. And I have to start by saying this book is unlike anything I've read before, and I mean that as a compliment. This is the first book in the Underland saga, and it takes us into a post-apocalyptic world that feels terrifying. It feels strange, and it's way too easy to imagine in some ways. In this world in particular, you're forced to wear gas masks, and propaganda is everywhere. And then the healthy people are the biohazards, which is really odd. And this idea alone made me really stop and think because how scary is that? I mean, to live in a world where being healthy makes you suspicious, something wrong with that. Where the truth is twisted so much that people don't even know what to believe anymore, and where control is disguised as protection. Sounds eerily familiar right about now. And this is the kind of what if scenario that really gets under my skin. And that's in a good way, you know? These are things that I actually think about. And that's really one of the biggest reasons I'm giving Underland 5 stars. The descriptions are really so vivid. I could picture the world and the poisoned air and the gas masks and the fear. I could picture the propaganda and I could hear it. And I can picture the people trying to survive inside a system that's built on lies. Sound familiar? It's dark, but it's also very, very fascinating. And I love when a book makes me uncomfortable like that. And that's not because it's trying to shock me, but because it's making me think. I like books that make me think. No, I love books that make me think. And this story really does that. It takes this terrifying world and asks some really big questions. So, what happens when people are taught to fear the wrong thing? Again, sound familiar? What happens when the ones labeled dangerous might actually be the ones who matter most, who could actually maybe save you? And what happens when survival means questioning everything you've been told? Those are the kinds of questions that make a book stay with me long after I've finished reading it. And the story follows a colorful cast of characters throughout this poison controlled world, and there's so much packed into it. There's adventure and secrets, there's a lot of dark humor and action, and this feeling that something much bigger is unfolding. And since this is the first book in the saga, it definitely feels like the beginning of a larger journey. And I really do like that. There's an evolutionary element to the story, and that adds another layer to everything in the story. Now, without giving too much away, there's an adaptation that could change humanity forever. I love the idea that because it makes the story more than just another post-apocalyptic adventure. It's not just about what humanity has lost. It's about what humanity could become. And that's what made the book stand out to me. Yeah, the world is frightening. I mean, post apocalyptic is kind of frightening. And there's danger and deception and control, but underneath it all, there's also hope. And that's kind of what made the book stand out too. It's not just this dark place, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's the possibility that something bigger can come from all the damage. That's something I always appreciate in the darker books that I read. I don't mind being taken into a scary world as long as there's a reason to keep going. And Underland has that. It's unsettling, but it's not hopeless. And It also has this dark humor, which I like. I always appreciate when a story gets heavy. Sometimes humor is what makes the characters feel even more real. And even in a broken world, people still joke around. They still get annoyed. They have opinions and they still make mistakes. They still try. I mean, they're still human. So that's important to have all of these things. And that made these characters in this book and this world feel more alive. And for me, this was a 5-star read because it was unique and it was vivid and imaginative and honestly kind of terrifying. It made me think about control and fear. It made me think about the propaganda and survival and how easily people can be convinced that something good is actually dangerous. Kind of living in that world right now, if you think about it, but that's me. And that's scary because even though this is fiction, some of those ideas don't feel completely impossible. That's what's so good about, you know, really good dystopian fiction. That's what it does. It exaggerates the world, but there's still enough truth in it to make you uncomfortable. I love a book that does that for me. And this book definitely did that for me. It gave me a world I could see, like really see in my mind. And as a creative, that's important. If I can't see the story in my head, it's not worth it, you know? It's got a premise I hadn't read in 100 times before in other books, and those eerie, what if the world was like that moments that make the book hard to forget. And this definitely had all of that. So, yes, I'm giving Underland by Eugene Samalin 5 stars. And if you enjoy post apocalyptic fiction, dystopian worlds, dark humor, lots of action, some secrets, and stories that really make you think, this one is one you need to check out. It's vivid and strange, it's unsettling, and it's terrifying, really in the best way. Now, before I go, I want to end with a little gratitude, as I always do. Today, I'm grateful for books that take me somewhere completely different. I'm grateful for authors who aren't afraid to build strange worlds and ask the uncomfortable questions. I'm grateful for stories that remind us how powerful imagination can be, especially when the world feels heavy. And I'm grateful for books that don't just entertain us, although those are nice as well. But I enjoy books that make us stop and think about humanity, about fear, truth, and about hope. Because even in a story about a poisoned world, there can still be something beautiful underneath it. I love that. There can still be courage, and there can still be change, and there can still be a reason to keep going. And this book does that. Thank you so much for listening to Books and Gratitude. Until next time, keep reading, keep noticing the little things, and keep finding something to be grateful for, even in the middle of the strange, scary, beautiful story we're all living. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and share this episode with other book lovers. Thank you again, and have a great Sunday.